Hi, everyone. I hope you're having a good meeting. Good morning. It is Tuesday and it is our week 6. And I wanted to share a little bit about our direction for the next couple of weeks for our class and also the work that we're doing today. So I am going to share screen for a second so we can look at the schedule together, and I can just talk a little bit about the next couple weeks. So I'm going to share screen now. So you should be seeing my screen at this point. And I'm actually going to pull down this tab right here where you can see the weekly work. So we've done theoretical foundations, reading classrooms as text, reflections on a classroom, freedom writers, and ideology and life practices. And hopefully this has been giving you a foundation about writing classes and how they work, and some of the things that are important to think about within reading and writing classrooms. And now we're going to move into week 6, 7, and 8, which are kind of and maybe even 9. They're sort of a movement into looking at classrooms and possibly looking at a theme within classrooms. So we're going to be using my dystopian theme because I have a class made and there's an article that I want you to read about that. And we're also going to be doing the partials, right, which is a dystopian book. So I'm hoping that you'll get a little bit of a view into what a themed class kind of looks like, and how you work within a theme and put a theme together. So my theme is dystopian literature. So just first of all, we're going to read the article Engaging Apolitical Adolescents by Melissa Ames, and I'm going to come back and talk about that for a second. And that's going to set us a foundation for how dystopian literature can be used to set up a theme within a writing class where you're mostly going to be writing about nonfiction, but you're going to deal with literature in this case to kind of give you ideas about how to address nonfiction. Then we're going to read The Partials, which is, well, you should be reading it now, which is a novel. And that novel is a dystopian novel for young adults. And so that's going to help you to kind of understand what that literature kind of looks like and how that relates back to Melissa Ames's Engaging Apolitical Adolescents. And then you're going to be looking at week 8, my English 130 site, which is a class that I've built around dystopian literature that actually deals with reading and writing practices. And then on week 9, you're going to observe a classroom of your own. And I have given you some options and links to online classrooms if some of you are still only doing online, but then you also can observe a live classroom if you wish to, and it can be any grade. And hopefully you'll start to think about how I have looked at literature and how I have looked at materials in order to build a class. And you can look at that classroom and look at how they've built their classroom and what their theme is and what they're trying to do with reading and writing. I'm going to stop sharing in just a second. This is the information on Engaging Apolitical Adolescents by Melissa Ames. And a lot of the things I'm talking about, you'll read in this paragraph, but you will want to take a look at that. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Oh, I guess you could see too that down here, your midterm video response is coming up on October 24th, but we have time for that. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. I'm going to stop sharing. So Melissa Ames, Engaging Apolitical Adolescents, is one of my favorite articles. It's a academic article. It's very packed. It's kind of long. It's going to take you a while to get through it. And it is a little bit different from what it seems like on the surface. So you got to dig into this one a little bit because a lot of times people get the meaning of what Melissa Ames is saying wrong. So I'm not going to tell you what she's saying because I want you to do that critical analysis of the material. She starts off with an argument that everyone is saying about young adults. And then she kind of flips that argument and addresses how young adults are maybe interested in politics or political themes, because we're not really talking about politics, we're talking about things that are important within society, social justice issues, right? And she talks about how dystopian novels will do that. Then she goes on and she shares a lot about the different novels, and then she actually does a call to action. So those are, you should really look through this and dig in it with a fine tooth comb because it's super important. This is a great article. I've used it for a lot of years. Melissa Ames really unpacks how you can take a piece of literature and work with social justice issues. One of the things I love that she says, one of my favorite quotes of the article is, um, literature or dystopian novels give you the ability to wrestle with real world problems in the safe confines of fiction. And I really love this idea. For so many years, fiction and literature has been separated um, from nonfiction and writing and even rhetoric. And I think that that's a mistake. I think there's a really interesting connection when you start addressing um, the issues that are within the fiction that you read. One of the things that's really important about this is that for years, fiction was relegated or confined, might be a better word, to the words from on the page, right? So when we would work with theory or ideas about it, they would say, you have to go back to the text. You can only look at what's in the text to talk about it. And there's were a lot of theorists that came in and refuted that. For example, an anthropologist called Stephen Greenblatt, and he started talking about, look, literature is not written in a vacuum. It's written within, there's cultural context to it. He was an anthropologist, so he realized that people were writing out of experiences, and reading and writing and communication happens not within a vacuum, right? It happens within the society that it's built, and that it's connected to time and place and political things that are happening in people's lives. And it has really changed and opened up how we can look at literature. We don't have to look at it anymore from just plot and summary. We can look at it and say, what is happening in here? How does that relate to our world? How does that relate to the world that we live in? And how did it relate to the world that it was written in, right? So these are important changes that happen. And I think when we start to think in these terms, we can really think about how they are valuable to us and how they teach us and how we learn from them and how they can launch us into questions about the world that we're existing in. Again, this is one of my favorite articles. It is a cornerstone for how I built my English 130 course. I know that not all of you will be doing college or even high school, but themes work in every age group. You can work within a theme and an idea and connect it to the other materials. I think one thing that's really important is, for many years, literature and English were just its own kind of subject, but really they cross disciplines. When you are going to do math, you're going to be reading. When you're going to be doing history, you're going to be reading. When you're going to be doing art, you're going to be reading, analyzing, reflecting. Art is extremely connected to English. Any of these other topics that you're going to be addressing, reading and writing, are going to be done within them. And that cross-disciplinary approach is really valuable for us to start thinking about what students come in, what practices they come in with, and how we can invite them into using their reading and writing to develop, yes, their skill base, but to develop ways to be able to critically analyze the world that they're in. Anyway, that's what I'm going to share for today. I hope you enjoyed the article. Please feel free to reach out in your blog or your vlog in any way that seems reasonable from within the text, and how you're going to relate to it and what the value you see within it is. And then we will move on to more work here in a little bit. Okay, you take care and have a good day. Please reach out to me if you have any questions. I'll talk with you soon. Bye.